to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Just today, Cheryl Miller hopped on the All the Smoke podcast, and she had so much to say about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, coaching them in the All Star game. She talked about Juju Watkins as well, and more topics surrounding the WNBA. Now, clips from this interview have been all across my social media pages today, but for today's video, I wanted to watch the interview in its totality, or at least the beginning of the interview, and live react to it with you guys. This will be my first time hearing exactly what she had to say. So if you guys like these kind of videos where I am live reacting to maybe an interview or a workout, definitely let me know in the comments below. Or if you prefer when I just kind of summarize what's going on and fill you guys in on what's going on, also let me know. But for today's video, we are going to be live reacting to it. By the way, if you see this little black blob right here, that's my cat Sunny. If you're just wondering if I got some extra decor on set. No, it's a cat. Anyway, of course, I'm going to put this video in 1.25 speed, so let's jump into it.
You recently coached the WNBA All Star game. You spent some time with Caitlin Clark.
Best coaching job ever.
Best coaching job
Best
ever.
coaching job ever.
Being around Caitlin Clark, how was the experience for her? She's such a big star. I mean, the sky's the limit for her. To be around her, just talk about the type of person she is, how much she loves the game.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my
skin.
color.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. And people just having, and look, she brought some on herself a little because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
Right.
What she's alluding to here, and they showed a little clip of it, is there was this clip that went viral after one of Caitlin Clark's games. Cheryl Miller was there, and Caitlin ran up to her. Cheryl gave her some words and told her that she had a great game and gave her a big hug. In that time, when that moment happened, it really did feel like the world was against Caitlin. There's a lot of these media narratives going around. And so a lot of people who are fans of Caitlin Clark and thought that she maybe deserved better and didn't deserve some of these narratives that were going around, they thought that that was a really wholesome clip. And a lot of people were praising Cheryl Miller, like, thank you for at least standing up for her in a time where it didn't feel like anybody else was. And so I like that, Cheryl Miller basically said, I saw a piece of myself in Caitlin Clark. I know what it feels like to be hated. Now, she also said that Caitlin brought some of it upon herself. And I guess, in a sense, if you do any sort of trash talking, you can bring people to not like you. But I think anybody at any level, there's no superstar. Let me think about that for a second. Maybe there's not no superstar, but there's very rarely superstars that everyone's a fan of. And especially when it comes to sports, right? If you are a Boston Celtics fan, you probably don't like LeBron. If you're a Lakers fan, you probably don't like Jason Tatum. Like there will always be those rivalries and things, but the kind of hate and narrative that was surrounding Caitlin Clark was much different than, oh, I just don't like you because you're on the opposing team. And I think that's what she's alluding to here.
And Angel and her got along so well, and watching them practice. And yeah, just get it. And Caitlin's like, just fly, and watching her pass. And I didn't know how talented she was and how well she sees the game in a 3D version. Thinker, defensively a lot better than I thought and gave her credit for. So watching her and just spending a little time. And one thing, guys, that I've learned is to step back and let these kids be themselves. Look, I speak what I'm spoken to. I'm not sitting up there knocking on anybody's door, offering my advice because I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be social media, Instagram this. I don't know what it's like to be bombarded and have to be the breadwinner in the family and be a brand and be worried about what I do or say and everything else, and 24/7 being pulled in so many different directions and not knowing. Throw in the fact that if I'm insecure, if I got my own mental issues going on, who do I talk to? I don't regret being born when I was.
Right.
I'm going to stop it right there. So I want to go over a couple things. She talked about coaching her and Angel Reese. And obviously there was, again, this narrative in the media that both Caitlin and Angel have shut down for the most part. They have both said, look, we're not best friends, but it's not as, we don't hate each other like all of you guys are saying. And I do remember in that WNBA All Star game where the WNBA All Stars did beat the Team USA team, the assist from Caitlin Clark to Angel Reese when it was on the run for that layup, that was such a viral moment because I think a lot of people have only ever seen them go up against, all of us had only ever seen them go up against one another. And so to have that moment was almost like, again, it was just a moment in time that happened at the right moment in time, and it just healed some things. They're like, you know what, there's all of this vitriol going on outside of these two, yet they can come together for a cause to come out here and win a game together, and that's what they did. So Cheryl Miller said it was the best coaching job of her career, the best job ever, and I love that she said that. She also gave Caitlin a little bit more credit on defense, and that is one thing when people are criticizing Caitlin's game, a lot of people say that she struggles defensively, and I will admit I don't think that she's an all-star defender. She does a lot on the offensive side. And it is hard to be a two-way player on both sides. Like even if you look at someone like a Steph Curry isn't an elite defender as well. He makes up for it on the offensive side. And she also talked about the social media aspect of all of this. And that has also, it was a narrative of all of last season. The social media, the hate that some of these players were getting online. And that's why even myself, when I talk about some of the rookies in the incoming class, when I'm talking about college basketball players, and this goes for both men and women, it is very hard for me, regardless of what these players are doing, to just dunk on a 22-year-old, to dunk on a 23-year-old, to continue putting them down. They are still young and finding themselves. And a lot of these women who are just now getting into the spotlight, that is hard to handle. I'm a little younger than Cheryl Miller, but I didn't grow up with that either. I wasn't in high school scrolling on Instagram. I didn't have that. There's added pressures in this world now that are hard. And some of these women are going to have to go through some growing pains to find themselves as well. So I like that she brought that up, because I think that's just socially an issue that, you know, a lot of us go through and a lot of kids are going to go through. And as the women's game continues to expand, these women are going to have to get thick skin because they are going to be in the spotlight more and more. And the bigger your star rises, the more people are going to hate you. And that's unfortunately just a fact. So let's continue.
I'm in the right place at the right time. It's just been fascinating to watch these young ladies come up and now take the baton and take it to a different level.
She handled it in a graceful way as well. Some of your peers, they will recognize, you know, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Right.
How can you separate the two? It's kind of
you
hard,
know, right? I used and you know, Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes.
Yeah.
But she was in the backyard. She was putting in the same time,
the
sometimes
same
maybe more than you were.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I can't fault her for what she was given. But you know, I mean, look, as much as she was given, you can't tell me if that door would have swung the other way where she didn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Come on, folks are still waiting for her to fall.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
Right.
Everybody now has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a seat. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing. And thank God I don't listen to, I don't follow social media, and I could really care less because I've been delivered from being a people pleaser and what you think about me.
Right. Me too.
But I will tell you one thing. I'm just glad that these young ladies who are at the upper tier players, I hope and pray that they have a solid foundation, and they know guys who they are, because you know how vicious it is out there.
So she kind of alluded to what I essentially just said. The more your stardom grows, the more hate you're going to hear, the more noise that you're going to hear. And so she's right here. They need to make sure that they have a solid foundation. But I want to talk about where they mentioned people will acknowledge Caitlin's game, but not acknowledge her impact. And I hope that we are beyond that. And I think we're getting there to a place that we are beyond that. And that's why at the beginning of the season, during last WNBA season, I was as vocal as I was, because actually me being vocal about Caitlin Clark and about her impact is actually me being vocal for everybody else who is on the court, because I can see it as an outsider. She's bringing more eyeballs to the game. With that, more people are going to be watching, more people are going to be seeing other players that they have never watched before. They're going to be introduced to players that they never even knew were basketball players. The entire Indiana Fever roster are all celebrities now because of her. Now the teams that they're playing against, you can start to get acquainted with some of these other players, and it might still be like Caitlin Clark is this number one star, but everyone else rises with that. And so Cheryl is right here. Take a seat at the table. Everyone's going to get paid. This is going to help everyone. So get on board with it. It's okay to acknowledge somebody's impact. That's why I was so vocal about it last season. That's why I called out some of the hypocrisy, I can't speak today, that was going on in the media. And I think we need to continue to do that. And we don't have to always focus on Caitlin Clark. We're going to talk about other players. We're going to uplift other players. Now they are on that stage. This is the time. There's so much momentum right now. Let's continue the ball rolling without trying to sabotage that.
You see any correlation with Caitlin and Angel Reese, what they've done for the WNBA, as to what Magic and Bird did when they came in at the same time?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Larry and Irv used to laugh at, white against black.
Yeah. And they loved each other.
East Coast, West Coast, loved each other, and respected one another, and understood that this rivalry, this tension, whatever, it was for the betterment of the game, but they never got caught up into it.
Yeah.
And those two are the foundation of the great stories and narratives coming out of the NCAA now,
Right.
flooding the dub, which helps the dub.
Right.
So that's, my main thing. I want to see how we as women, because again, I know they're going to get mad at me for saying this, we can be petty, we can be short-sighted.
No.
Oh, there's an ad. Hold on. Right when it was getting good, there's an ad.
No. No. This is my first time hearing this.
We can, but I'm just hoping that we can embrace one another, whether you're playing for the dub or you're playing in Unrivaled.
Which I love. You wish you could have got some of that up.
Oh, in the one-on-one, I've been like,
I know you was over there watching that
come on, with the cross-eyed knee, Jerry. Come on, I got you here. I'm just messing with you. I got nothing mad love for
Shout
you.
out Joe Lloyd.
Yeah, and that whole league, what they've done and their mindset and the business aspect and the savviness
Crazy
and
smart.
to get their, to build that infrastructure financially, that was the first thought. And when I saw that, they got this, this is about to roll out. So, and I just hope, again, backtracking, that we as women can understand and embrace, we all have a seat at the table, and it's for the betterment of the sport.
Support.
Okay, I want to stop because before we were rudely interrupted by an ad, she did say us women and us as women. And I have always been the first to say that because I have actually experienced that on my own teams. I have had girls on my own teams who will sabotage the entire team just to spite another player on the team. So I'm no stranger to this. Us women can be like that, and us women need to continue to do better. And I like that she's calling it out here. And I do think, and I'm optimistic that a corner will be turned on all of this. She said people are going to be mad at her for calling it out, but it is the truth. And I think if all of us can just be honest with ourselves, it happens in society. Okay. So if the women can continue to do better. And they also talked about the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson effect with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And I know a lot of people have compared it to that. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's similar in the sense that both of these players came out of college. There was a rivalry there. Yes, I get to a certain extent, but I also think this is very different. And I also think that this is the biggest boom that we've seen. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. If you were watching that time, I don't even think I was born. I barely saw Jordan play. So let's continue.
I've seen you sidelines at several SC games, female
Yes.
SC games that I've pulled up to. Juju has been blazing her trail at SC and slowly but surely knocking on some doors that you put up. What are your thoughts on her game and just the way she's kind of been able to put SC women's basketball back to the forefront?
First and foremost, a tremendous talent. And for someone who's been skyrocketed into the spotlight, it's not just the spotlight. She's playing at USC.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the McGee twins, Cynthia Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
myself, Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson. I mean, they're all Hall of Famers.
I was about to say Hall of Famers, yeah.
And now you're expected to not just achieve and arrive, but you got to elevate it. You got to make your next mark.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch this young lady come in as a freshman and poised, just even killed.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see when things got tough, when she got the wood laid on her and she was laying on her back, and, who was helping up, or was she getting herself up? Because I knew she was going to catch people by surprise. Nobody knew.
Mm-hmm.
But that middle, and certainly the latter part of that season, double, triple teams, game plan, schemes, everything. How was she going to make the adjustments? So I was pleased to see that. And I'm always amazed at how solid she is as a human being. Certainly a lot of that is her foundation, family foundation. But there's something very grounded and rooted in her. I'm not quite sure where that comes from. If I was to give her any advice, and I have shared this with her, just make sure she maintains and finds that quiet place here and here where her family, loved ones, boyfriend, girlfriend, cat, squirrel, dog, whatever, she has her quiet place where she can just be Juju and no basketball, no nothing, and find something that she feels good about doing that's outside of the sport.
It's important.
I loved the game. It was USC versus UCLA. Cheryl Miller and Reggie Miller were both courtside. They were both respectively in a USC or UCLA jersey. And as you saw from this clip here, Cheryl was getting so hyped for Juju. You can tell that Cheryl Miller wants to see these women succeed with all of her heart. When she speaks here, she's so genuine. And I love what she has to say about Juju as well, because there is some truth there where Juju did go to a school that has a long history of great players coming out of USC. That is a lot to live up to. And Juju is also from California, so it's a home school for her. That's a lot to live up to. And Juju's doing a fantastic job at living up to that hype, also in the social media era that she is in, where she is facing more scrutiny than any of these players had to do in the past. So I love the fact that Cheryl Miller she's so complimentary of these women, and I know she wants to help them succeed. I loved seeing her courtside.
What are your thoughts on women having to wait 4 years to make that jump? Is that an outdated rule? Do you think it suits the game? Because she has to wait.
It's a God bless that rule is there. Yes, it needs to stay there until the Dub finally financially can. Why? If you are a top 5,
You're making more money.
In college.
In college.
Yeah.
No, I would really love to now that's when you'd see me step out and slap somebody. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you thinking?
That's actually going backwards for them.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. You hurting your brand early to go, wait. Make this is your foundation. This is where your money is. For right now.
Yeah.
Right now. It's kind of backwards where for you guys, the regular season was where you made your money.
Right.
But the playoffs is where you make your fame.
Yep.
So right now, the NCAA is where you make your money.
Yeah, exactly.
The Dub is where you make your fame. That's your legacy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She's so right on this, because this has been the case for women's college basketball throughout the past decade. You are able to get acquainted, get to know these women because they are staying in college for 4, and now with the COVID year, 4 or 5 years that they are there. A lot of them are staying at one team. And we've even seen with players who are transferring and going to different schools, you're able to follow them in their journeys. There is so much money right now in NIL, and there is so much emphasis on the women's college basketball game that now there's so much excitement around them, and then you want to follow them to the WNBA. And this goes into the momentum that I talked about earlier. You have such a big push of momentum last season with Caitlin Clark entering the WNBA. Now you have the next draft class coming in. You have the Paige Beckers, you have the Olivia Miles, you have the Sonia Citron, you have the Dominique Malonga, you have all of these highly anticipated players. You have the Haley Van Lith, who are going to be stepping into the WNBA next. And then in a few years, you have the Juju Watkins and you have the Hannah Hidalgos. And so I love the fact that they have to stay in college for 4 years, not only for them and for making money, but also just for the game in itself. With men's college basketball, it is so hard at this point to really invest in certain players and certain teams because a lot of the greatest players are one and done. I'm totally with her here. I think it does need to stay like this. Even if you see somebody who might be ready to play in the league during their sophomore season or during their junior season, it should stay like this for the sake of the game, for the sake of the women, for how much money they make. And hopefully within the next 5-10 years, you will be making a significant amount of money on your WNBA salary as well. Overall, I'm going to continue on and watch the rest of this interview, but I wanted to fill you guys in on what Cheryl Miller had to say about Caitlin and Angel and the WNBA and all of those types of things. Let me know what you think in the comments below. below. Of course, thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it. I want to let you guys know that next week I'm going to be doing a live episode where we are going to be filling in our March Madness brackets together. So make sure that you guys subscribe and stay tuned. I will post something in the community notes and let you guys know when I'm going to be doing that. As of now, I'm planning on doing that on Monday. We will fill out our brackets together. We will get ready for the tournament. And with that also, I will have a couple more college player interviews for you next week. So if there's any time that you need to subscribe, it's right now. So go subscribe, stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys next time. Ooh, yeah, nah.